Typically, I hate being downtown, but one of my favorite things to do is to ride my bike downtown at night. I like it at night. There's not a lot of people around. There's no traffic. I don't necessarily have to be anywhere anytime soon. It's fairly quiet typically at night. And you know, a lot of people will talk about if they're going to go on a ride that's anything enjoyable will be get to the mountains, get out of town, go to the country, these kinds of things. But there's a lot of good urban riding to be had. Get to see some nice cars. And a lot of times I get downtown and you can hear yourself bouncing off of the buildings. You can hear the sound of your bike. And which way do I have to go? A lot of times you can see yourself in the reflections, which is kind of neat. Let's see if I can find a building here that has some nice shiny windows you can see yourself in. Just something different about being down in the tall buildings, and you can usually hit a lot of the lights right so that you don't have to do a lot of stopping. Certainly not as much as in the day. I've always enjoyed a good short ride through the downtown area. There's still a lot of good urban riding to be had. In and around the city is there's a few nice roads. Memorial is pretty nice. Crowchild is not bad if there's no construction. As long as you get down into the older parts where the roads are still built a little bit curvy, they bend and twist around a little bit more. Most of the newer parts, they're just great big straight roads, not nearly as fun. And again, depends on the traffic. You get in the city in the weekend and it can be some nice riding, and you don't necessarily have to get out of the city. And if you're driving back and forth to work every day, there's no reason you can't just plan to take a little bit nicer of a route through the city, and you can get a little bit of a nice ride on your way to work, even though you have to stay in town. I also really enjoy getting on some of these bigger bridges, some of the bigger overpasses. It's just a different environment to be on a bridge than be on the ground on a road. And they all feel a little different. I like coming under Center Street Bridge, which I came in on to get here into town, into the downtown area. It's a little intimidating in a car, but on a bike, there's plenty of room on the bottom deck of the bridge. A lot of times you can still get up to a not a bad speed. You know, you won't get too much over 80 until you get into the highway, but that can be fun too. It's not all about getting somewhere fast. Though in Calgary in the summer there's a lot of a lot of construction. I sat in construction for about 15 minutes this morning on the way to work. Now, I really do want to get home quick because one of the things that I'm really disliking about this bike is the headlight. You can see where my headlight shines here is not that far ahead of where I'm driving, and if it gets too dark, once I get out from underneath all the street lights, it's just not enough, and not a bright enough headlight. And being on the highway where there's a lot of other cars, I can't just flick on my bright lights and compensate for it. This headlight really is insufficient. It's not a very good headlight at all. And it could be just set incorrectly. Maybe a little bit of fine-tuning with adjusting where that headlight beam is shining can do a lot of help for it. I'll have to ask them when I'm in at my 1000K tune-up if they can double check that, because it's not good at all. It's not a real big wide swath on the headlight. It's pretty small, and it's pretty close to me, so I'm really not liking that. I'll keep my eyes open for a good aftermarket headlight for this, something that's maybe a projector. I know I've got projectors in my car. It makes a huge difference. But you'll see once we get out from under all the street lights how bad the headlight is. I just got no visibility at all once I get in the dark, so I really want to get home before twilight's really done here. Ooh. Yeah, it's construction season in Calgary, that's for sure. It's all over the place. Though this might be an accident. No, it's construction. It's still 25 degrees out here at night, so I know I was sitting in traffic there this morning, and it's the only time. It was about 25 degrees out. It's really the only time that I felt a lot of heat coming off of the engine since I've had it. Just sitting in that hot weather and not really moving anywhere, inching forward and inching forward. Being an air-cooled engine, that's when I really felt the heat off of it. But typically, just if I can even drive slow, it really is sufficient enough to keep this engine cold. I'm going to try and stick here to the main highway, and I know it's a little faster, but there's street lights most of my way home. There's a small section without it where I'll have to slow down a little bit, but if I went down some of the back roads, there'd be no lights at all the way, and I know I could feel a little more comfortable driving slower, but on the highway I've got street lights most of the way. Plus, if I get beside somebody, I can see in their headlights, and that makes me a little more easy at driving, a little less uneasy, I guess.